Starting with BAM Stencil 1031 and a finger dauber loaded with my Snake Tag One Stroke, I am going to place these little floral leaves on either side of my forehead and my cheeks. I'm doing a Venetian rose mask and I want there to be a green element, but I really don't want it to be overwhelming. I want it to kind of disappear in the background. So I'm just going to place these very subtly around my face so that they stick out just a little bit from my final mask. And now I'm going to start the rose. I'm going to do a large rose in the center of my forehead, and I've got a 3/4 inch brush loaded with white and pink, just a split cake that I like to use for roses. And I place the heel of the brush down, and then I wiggle the toe into a kind of a fan shape to create my rose petals. And when I do this, I try to imagine a little circle that I am placing those petals around just to keep me kind of organized in how I start my rose. I also like to try to make the petals in the foreground a little bit larger than the ones that are towards the back of the rose, just to help with the illusion that the rose is sticking out a little bit. Now I'm also, after I post this video, I'm also going to post a more elaborate video on roses. So if you'd like some tips on how I do them, you can watch that video for a little bit more in-depth rose tutorials. Now I'm going to let that center one dry, and then I'm going to do rose buds on either side of my mask as well. And these are pretty easy to do. I do these a lot more than big roses because I find the large roses don't fit on people's faces as well. So just pivot, do a little petal and then a U shape to create the bud. Hold your brush nice and vertically, and then just flick the toe of your brush inward to create the petals. Now to finish off my center rose, place the center bud on either side of the main petal. So don't do it right in the center, but pick in between them. And you're going to create another petal and then swoop around just how we did with our buds on either side of this main rose. And then place your brush down vertically, twist and flick. And again on the other side to create some petals. And then you can do one down in front as well. Always kind of go over your rose. If it starts to blend together too much, just reload and clean it up a little bit. This looks pretty good. So I'm also going to use this amazing Mama Clown glitter, and I'm going to tap this over my rose. It's the Fairy Floss glitter, and it is so glittery that once I put it on, I feel like you could not see the detail of my rose anymore. So great glitter, but I think I overdid it a little bit. So I actually tried to dab a little bit off. So hopefully you can still see my rose. And now the fun part, line work. So use a relatively small brush for this. I would say a 3 or a 4. I'm using a Lowell Cornell, which is one of my favorites. And I'm starting with a couple swirls going up. I am trying to frame my outside rose buds as well. I can see one of my lines went over it a little bit more than I intended, but in the end, it's totally fine. And this is all about detail. Add whatever kind of detail you want, as much detail as you want. I added some teardrops going into those long curls to create detail, and then a teardrop underneath that. And then I'm just going to continue to layer them up. And I usually build from whatever I start with. And you'll notice that I will continually look up because I'm trying to keep everything symmetrical and balanced and decide where my next move is, what my next line will be. So I added some teardrops underneath my main rose going up. And now I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. So I decided to do a long swirl going down And then to keep everything symmetrical, because this is going to have so many shapes and lines, I am moving from one side to another. So what I do on one side, I then move straight to the other side and I do about the same thing. So it helps, rather than doing one full side and then trying to repeat it on the other side, it just makes it a little easier. You have kind of a quicker muscle memory and more recognition of what you just did, so that you can mirror it on the opposite side, which when doing on yourself is really important. When you're standing in front of someone and doing it on someone else, it's not that big of a deal. So do whatever you're comfortable with. So adding some more curls, I framed my eyes with some teardrops. And now I'm doing some drop teardrops on the inside corners of my eyes, and I'm going to repeat that a few times just to create some drama. And when you're doing a look like this, it's really about whatever you want to do. If you like dots, add a lot of dots. If you're a teardrop person, add teardrops. Do whatever you want to do to create the texture and drama that you like. So I'm adding a few more dots and kind of checking everything out, making sure that it's looking even, trying to analyze where I need more detail, if I see any holes in my mask, and doubling up some lines as well. So also think of this as building from what you've already done. So again, I am going to add another line to this curl that I already created, and it's just going to add detail and interest. And then I'm going to continue framing my eyes, and I'm going to pull dots in from where I left off with the teardrops. And some more dots going down the side of the mask. Just making sure that I remember what I did on the other side so I can repeat it to the best of my ability. And then I'm going to pull some more dots down, and I'm getting about done with the black here. It's well balanced in my opinion, and I like what I've done so far, and it's exactly what I was going for. It's detailed, but not overly detailed. It's something that I could repeat on someone, which is also really important because I don't like doing things that are too elaborate that I can't recreate them later. So just a few more details and I will be done with the black part of my Venetian mask. Cleaning up some of those lines and edges. And now I'm going to add some white dots, which really gives this mask a ton of interest and just a lot of fun detail, and it highlights it. So I'm going mainly in the larger black areas of the mask, and just a really nice, well-loaded brush. And some of the dots are a little bit larger, and then where I'm going into the thinner areas of the teardrops, I am just barely pressing on the tip of my brush to create a really, really light dot. And now I'm also highlighting some bits of my rose that I want to be a little bit more pure white. Especially since that glitter covered so much of it up. And I'm done. That is my Venetian rose mask. I hope you guys like this design. Please like and subscribe. And if you try this, as always, tag me. I love, love, love to see you guys recreate my designs. Thanks for watching.